No. No. You're saying 3 months wasn't long enough? It was too long.
So apparently some people still haven't come to terms with Kamala Harris's loss in last year's elections.
It's not like we don't know. In Britain, for instance, when you have a short election, it's not like you don't know who the leader of the party is for months and years before that.
But you're either the person who's Googling the day before, did Biden drop out, or you know in a week. You know, did anyone in this audience not know enough about Kamala Harris pretty much after a week?
She also has the weird habit. I can't figure it out.
About 56 horrible things
but many people were still confused. Some even
like
Googled,
these.
did Joe Biden drop out?
Do you plan
That
to
confusion showed how poorly things were handled. The people
know,
argued
Not
that 3
today.
months wasn't enough time for her to connect with
before I
voters.
did the horrible
Others say
dinner,
3 months was more than
which
enough.
changed-
People just didn't like what they saw.
Everything the candidates, especially the Democrats, do to get voters annoys them. The constant texting. Did you get the texts like from Tim Walz every 5 minutes, and like always begging for money and knocking on doors? And we've got people knocking on doors. People don't want knocking on your door. Who in this day and age wants someone knocking on? Kids don't even like it when a phone call. That's like too much of a invasion of their privacy.
Even months after the election, some Democrats still haven't accepted that Kamala Harris lost. They keep blaming everything but her.
I'm just
But
curious,
on Bill
like,
Maher's show,
the way that
he wasn't buying it. He called it like it is. Kamala shares the blame for the
hated me
defeat. Maher
from
pointed
before
out
the
that
dinner,
everything about the
10
campaign
Senator.
annoyed voters' constant texts, endless
somebody-
donation
The thing to
requests,
hate
and
me
people
for.
knocking on
But
doors.
their
These tactics
hatred-
didn't connect with modern
In case
voters.
you didn't know.
Young people don't even like getting
because their
phone
big
calls,
fear was
let
that,
alone
oh
strangers
my God,
knocking. The
I was
real
gonna-
issue was that
Everybody's
Democrats didn't
laughing.
have a clear message.
I asked for the
Instead of
back to
focusing on
tearing him a
practical
new asshole
solutions,
every
they
week.
tried to
If you-
appeal
if you-
to woke activists. And when that didn't work, they didn't change course.
Anybody, or
They
just
just
like
used
anyone who
guilt,
doesn't watch
tricks,
it,
and
but then
pressure
you
to gain
can't
support.
Analyze each
They didn't
issue
earn
honestly,
trust.
and that
They tried
actually
to
is
force
what
it
he's
down
doing.
one-
Haven't done anything yet, but I understand the.
This was the problem. You know, there was a 2014 study that showed that Fortune 500 companies were more likely to pick a female CEO if the company was struggling, basically setting women up for the big job, but to also fail. If they did well, fine. But if they failed, like, look, we have a female CEO while failing. And that's what I feel like they did to Kamala Harris. When Biden refused to step aside and not run again, he was supposed to be that bridge. He backed off on that promise due to arrogance. And then he drops out after a catastrophic debate performance, and they set Kamala Harris up to fail.
Yes,
on
you
Maher's
can
show,
move too far
Sarah
left.
Isker
And when
claimed
you
Kamala
do,
was set up to fail,
giggling
saying she was
at
thrown
all
into the spotlight after
inappropriate
Biden
moments.
dropped out.
Canada
and didn't
is
have
what
a fair
American
shot.
voters
But that's a
think
stretch.
happens.
Visit the
Kamala was
border.
vice president for 4 years. Everyone knew
in
who
politics,
she was.
liberals
She had
are
plenty
the
of
gas
time to
pedal
make her
and
case for
More
voters in.
parents
She
are
didn't.
seeing
Maher
the
pushed
value
back
of
hard.
education.
Pedal,
He said
but not if
there
we're
had been a
driving off
proper
a cliff.
primary,
Sweden
Democrats
opened
probably wouldn't have picked her. And if they did, she could have learned from early
and now
mistakes.
20%
But
of its
instead,
citizens
she
are
had to jump
foreign.
into a full campaign with Biden's team, not her own.
And it has
Iskar
Europe's
still believes
highest
the
rate
next
of
Democratic
gangland
leader might be
killings.
someone we haven't
You're considered
heard of
the
yet,
most
like Obama
liberal
or
United
Reagan,
States
someone who
crime rate
surprises
is
everyone.
racist.
But
Yeah,
the idea that
but is it
Kamala was
true?
just
She
a
said
victim
that,
of bad
and it
timing
actually was
doesn't
Mike
hold
Pence
up.
on the
In
debate
truth,
stage.
If
Kamala
life
Harris
went down
didn't
after
lose
the
because of
Somali
who she
gangs
is. She
started-
lost
Hard
because of
hats
how the
are actually
campaign was run.
unisex.
The Democrats focused on
Racist
identity
doesn't solve the
politics.
No, you're saying 3 months wasn't long enough?
I mean,
It was too long.
It was long enough.
It was long enough.
if they had
There's
a
a difference.
primary,
It's not that they didn't have time to introduce. They met someone and they didn't like them.
if they had had a primary, they wouldn't have picked her. And if they had,
That's
she would have been
different.
able to
Yes.
rough out those edges that then she basically has to start from scratch with a campaign team she didn't hire that didn't like her, right? It was his team. And so I wonder if that next Democratic person, maybe
Well-
someone's not even on our radar yet. Because frankly, when you look at the history of who's there's two types. The one who waited in line, who was next in line, and then there's the one who comes out. That's Obama. That's Clinton. That's Reagan to some extent.
And ignored what
about
voters
China?
really cared about.
China-
That strategy
You wind up
worked.
pushing the people in the
Voters
middle
didn't
to the
forget
right.
Kamala.
At its worst,
They
For
just
the
chose
21st
someone
century
else.
with China.
Kamala Harris became the
We-
when there's no one
Democratic
putting a
candidate
check
just
on
107
extreme
days
wokeness.
before the
They say-
election.
We should not
That's a really
seek
tough spot
conflict.
for anyone. She was
Conservatives
the
are the
perfect
brakes.
candidate,
And I'm
probably,
generally
if it
with
had
the
been a
gas.
full primary
Are
election,
parameters
she might
in
not
which
have been
we
chosen.
must
But
operate.
we'll
And its
never know
borders
for
to
sure.
over 1.5 million
John Helen
immigrants
joined
since 20.
Sarah
American
Isker trying to
business
defend
interests.
Kamala's
So say
campaign.
that China
we-
attacks
Admitted the
Unborn, and
economy
its
was actually
education
doing
system
bad,
is tanking.
which is surprising.
to support
Bill,
Taiwan.
I'm not going to get into hypotheticals, but listen.
To which liberals say, blaming immigrants for the rise of
A one China policy And
Of course it's true. It's not a coincidence, the quality
defend itself, including what we need to do to ensure
a drug turf war using hand grenades, calling it...
make sure we have open...
I'm going to side with Sarah about this one thing. If you're the sitting vice president for a president who has, throughout his entire term in office, been sitting at about somewhere between a 35 and 40% approval rating. People view the Biden administration as a failure. We can have a long discussion about whether they are right about that, about the economy, but the perceptions of the economy were that people thought inflation was too high, people thought we were on the wrong track, 75% wrong track numbers, and this huge inflation overhang. You're the sitting vice president, and you get put on elevated to the top of the ticket 107 days ahead of the election. I think that is a very high degree of difficulty put on anybody, and I do not think she is the perfect candidate. I tend to agree with Sarah that probably in a fully litigated primary, she probably would not have been the Democratic nominee, but we'll never know that.
I got him to sign that. This is my favorite
Maher
position.
pointed out that the vice president basically gets ignored for most of the term. But he also said it's not true that people don't get to know a candidate quickly. For example, Donald Trump was known everywhere after 8 years in the public eye. And Barack Obama ran for 2 years, doing many debates and traveling across the country.
I'm
curious about the dinner. Do you include
Kamala wasn't hidden away either.
She had real responsibilities.
Doing it,
like handling the border crisis, which she didn't do well. Millions crossed into the U.S. while she avoided visiting the border.
Think about it?
She
Do you
also
think
had
about
a
it
chance
as
to connect with the public, like a guest spot on Joe Rogan's podcast.
or
But she
live
turned
on
them
Blue
down.
Sky.
When she
Just
did do
found another.
interviews,
But that
they were
includes
awkward
supporting
and didn't help her
Taiwan's
image.
ability to
So she
defend
wasn't
looks ever
sidelined, she was
stupider
visible, but
as
didn't
time goes
perform
by.
well.
the
Michael
freedom of
Douglas
the
once
Taiwan
pointed out
Strait.
that other
We
countries
need
hold
to
be
elections
seduced.
much faster sometimes
And
in
of
weeks
course,
or
I
months.
went right
That's
back
most
to-
Never been anybody who's had the difficulty of that situation, elevated that late in the campaign. Why?
Democrat would have needed to run away from
Bill,
the
I don't know if you know this, but the vice president of the United States is basically shoved in a broom closet for 3.5 years.
I know.
Like, you couldn't.
She was more popular in there.
Yes, well.
I mean, this idea that in a mass media age, that 107 days is not long enough to know somebody.
You are way overestimating the American people in terms of what their ability. No. You have someone like Donald Trump has become a universally known, understood, loved by some, hated by others over the course of being omnipresent for 8 years.
Okay.
Barack Obama becomes president of the United States after running for 2 years as president, runs a 50-state primary, is on television, does dozens of Democratic debates.
She also has the weird habit. I can't figure it out.
I understand their side, and I don't like it when people say
moments like these.
And campaigns last a
women.
long time.
They think
Also,
it's murder.
Small dollar donations have made
not today.
Get it? It is not a life, but it's undeniably become.
Educators when they had to.
But the Democrats
That's
focus
different.
too much on woke issues.
This is my.
Said we're not paying them nearly enough.
Voters weren't interested
And
in
to
talks
pretend
about
that
pronouns
you
or
have
privilege when they
enough
were worried about
information.
paying for gas and groceries. That's why Kamala wasn't trusted, at least
Sounding.
not because
Well,
of who she
I'm not
is,
talking
but
about
because
COVID.
of
I'm
the
talking about
messages she
medicine.
represented. Meanwhile, Trump, whether people
somebody
liked him or
said
not,
that.
promised
Mostly
a
because they're
stronger
corrupt,
economy
just
and fewer
because
culture
we don't
wars.
know that
He was
much.
clear
In case
and
you
direct,
didn't
and
know,
for many voters,
hard hats
that felt
are
better than
actually-
Kamala's
And every week
unclear
there's some new
messages and
story
nervous
about
behavior.
something.
So,
I would.
the choice for voters was easy. It was about survival. And with
I got
comfort.
him to sign
If you
that.
weren't sure if
This is my
Biden would
favorite
run,
You ever watch this show? But I had Michael Douglas on this week.
Yeah.
At the top, we were talking about this, and he made a very good point that every other country in the world can do it in months, sometimes weeks. Why can every other country do it in that short a period of time? Are they all so much brighter than America? I don't think so.
Well,
Mostly parliamentary. I mean, there's like literal reasons, right? We don't have a parliamentary system.
I mean,
we also have a First Amendment. We don't make people campaign this whole time. The American people want to give them $20, and so they can afford it. I mean, small dollar donors are arguably the worst thing that's happened to our politics, as it turned out.
It's a small dollar donor didn't make $20 billion. No.
A lot of it.
Or if Kamala was known well enough,
at all
just ask
inappropriate,
yourself,
which
after
were
a week, did anyone really not know enough about her?
Do you plan to visit the border?
People got tired of the politics and the
No one
constant
needs to
excuses.
lecture me about
There's also a
Donald
bigger
Trump.
issue in U.S. politics.
More parents
like the
are
influence of
seeing
money
the
and
value
super
of
PACs.
Changed the world
Some say
completely.
we got
I'm
rid
curious
of
about
secret
that-
money,
about the-
gerrymandering, and the electoral college. Democracy
Part of it,
would
do you
be much
regret
better.
do you
But
regret
for
doing
now,
it?
we
Do you
have to
regret
work within the system we have. Bill Maher made a good point. In today's world, with
all of it
nonstop
played
news
out.
and
How do
social
you think
media,
about it? Do you think about it
as
you're considered the most liberal United States senator?
Or live on blue sky. Just found another thing to
And it actually was Mike Pence on the debate stage.
stupider as time goes by, because their big fear was that
strong enough to unite the country. That's
Everybody's laughing.
And of course, I went right back to tearing him a new asshole.
Real message. She used confusing words.
China.
Things that
The person who's Googling the day before, did Biden drop out? Or in a week. Did anyone in this audience not know enough about Kamala Harris pretty much after a week to make a decision? Yeah, people. And it's ridiculous. We just get sicker of them.
What? So
how are you going to tell people they can't talk about politics?
What?
How with free speech that I know you love?
Yeah.
How are you going to limit people's ability to run for office?
I'm not limiting. We're not making a law.
Bill, are you? Isn't there somehow a bill to reduce the amount of money involved in
Get rid
politics?
of super PACs by making it no limits, full disclosure. 24-hour disclosure.
We could fix democracy in a minute. Get rid of gerrymandering. Get rid of money in politics. Get rid of the electoral college. No, none of that is. We're going to keep working with this constipated system that we live with.
Yeah, 56 horrible things he said about me.
That's not clear planets in empty space. Some say that many people decided who to vote for very late.
So,
even right before the election.
We should
These
not
voters,
seek
Christmas
conflict.
Eve shoppers, like people who wait until the last minute to buy gifts. These voters needed more than 30 days to decide.
In which
John
we
Pilaman
must
tried to say that 3 months wasn't enough time for voters to decide about Kamala
protect American
Harris.
business
But in
interests.
today's world,
So
with
say
TikTok,
China-
Why
nonstop
before
news,
or after? I'm
people
just
can judge
curious,
a
like,
candidate in
the way
just
that-
30 seconds.
Bill,
Bill Maher
I'm not going to get
disagreed
into
strongly.
hypotheticals,
He
but
said
listen.
America
hated
has
me
one of the longest
from before
election
the dinner,
seasons in the
the
world.
10%.
Yet people
one
still wait
China
until the
policy.
last day to decide.
And
So
that
it's
me
not
for
about
it.
time.
But their
The real problem is that
hatred looks
Democrats
ever
didn't want to admit the truth.
including what we need to
They
do
keep
to
making
ensure
excuses
the freedom
instead
of
of
the
accepting that
Oh
Kamala
my
Harris
God,
didn't
I
have a
was gonna
strong
be
message.
seduced.
She didn't say anything that made
Communication
people
with
want to
China, in
vote for her
particular,
or convince
military to
undecided
military.
voters
I am
that she was the
pro-choice,
right
but I've
choice.
always
The mention is that no people were late deciders in the election.
No,
Nobody
they were. I
decided-
talked about them last week.
Right,
Christmas Eve shoppers,
so those people apparently needed longer than 90
they
days.
would have been undecided.
They always would have been.
Exactly. That's why I call them. I called them, John, I said this last week, I called them Christmas Eve shoppers. My father was one. People who don't buy their presents until the Christmas Eve night. He would go into the store, and he wouldn't feel like he could do it until he was fully in the spirit. He had to be in the store on Christmas Eve with Santa and all the fucking elves and everything that was going on.
No matter
First
how
of
much
all,
they tried
we
to spin the
must
story,
win.
Kamala failed to connect
they just
with
hate
voters.
women.
She
They
wasn't
don't
blown
hate
away.
them.
She was
We
given
must
chances, but
be able
didn't
to
do well.
compete
From
and
how she
win.
handled the border
I don't
crisis
agree
to
with
her
that,
weak
but I
messages,
totally respect
voters
it.
saw
And
through it.
But
Bill
we
Maher
have
made
to
it clear that
understand
Democrats blaming the
that
economy,
Coming alike. It is a gray
or anything
area.
but Kamala herself
I get
just
it.
makes them look
that
worse.
include
People don't want
ensuring,
excuses.
for example, that
They want
This
clear,
is my
honest
body,
leadership.
my health,
Kamala didn't
and
provide
protect
that. That's the
Taiwan.
real
Would,
story.
we
No more
use
distractions or
military
denial,
force?
just the truth.
With
If you're
all the
tired of the
things
media
they've been
protecting
wrong at,
politicians and
we
calling
need to
failure
make sure
historic,
that
like this video,
we maintain
subscribe,
in
and
general,
turn on
all the
notifications.
things they've been wrong
we speak
about,
honestly
not
and keep calling out the
supporting
truth.
Taiwan's
See you next
ability
time.
to